This call is now being recorded.
Good morning, friends. Today we are going to talk about deductions under Section 80C to 80U, which can be claimed by an individual for income tax planning as an income tax planning. So let's talk about the first section, which is Section 80C. I have already uploaded a video on YouTube about the list of items which fall in category of C and how an assessee can claim deduction under Section 80C. A total comprehensive understanding of each element under Section 80C is spoken in that video. I will just give an overview of Section 80C. What are the items which fall under Section 80C? So first and foremost, the amount of claim or deduction which can be deducted under Section 80C is rupees 1.5 lakhs. Number one. Number two, the list of items which fall under the category of Section 80C are life insurance premium paid by the an individual towards his own policy, his spouse, children, and in case of HUF on the life of any member of the HUF. Number one. Number two is employees contribution to employees provident fund. Number three is public provident fund, investment in public provident fund paid by an individual, by a spouse and a child. In case of individual, in case of a Hindu undivided family, on the life of any member of the Hindu undivided family. Number four item under Section 80C is National Savings Certificate. Number five is investment or deposit under Sukanya Samruddhi account. Number six is investment in tax saving schemes of mutual funds or equity saving schemes of a mutual fund. Post office 5 years post office time deposit or 5 years fixed 5 years fixed deposit in a bank. National savings certificate, investment in national savings certificate, 8th issue. ULIP, another investment is ULIP unit linked insurance plan, tuition fees of kid or kids of the assessee, and principal repayment towards housing loan. So these were some of the items which was discussed in my earlier video, in my earlier session, which falls under the category of Section 80C, which can be claimed to the extent of rupees 1.5 lakhs under Section 80C of Income Tax Act 1961. Number two, Section 80CCC. Deduction under Section 80CCC is available only for individuals. Number one, so this can be claimed as a deduction by an individual only and not meant for any other assessee. This number one. Number two, contribution to an annuity plan of LIC of India or any other insurer for receiving the pension. So this particular investment is towards annuity plan of an LIC of India or any other insurer for receiving the pension. Do remember that the amount should be paid or deposited out of income chargeable to tax. This is an important note. Take a cognizance of the same. Another note is this investment under Section 80C is also the part of the combined limit of rupees 1.5 lakhs, which is available under Section 80C and 80CCC. Please remember Section 80C plus 80CCC, a maximum amount of deduction with a limit or a ceiling is 1.5 lakh rupees. Number two. Number three is National Pension Scheme Tax Benefit Scheme under Section 80CCD1. So this is a national pension tax benefit scheme under section 80 double CD1. An individual's maximum 20% of total income contrib- contribution will be eligible for deduction. So an individual's maximum 20% of annual income will be eligible for deduction, which is the one which can be contributed to a national pension scheme. What does it mean? For example, the total uh, annual income of Mr. Rajesh for the financial year 2019-20 is 20 lakh rupees, and the 20% of this is 4 lakh rupees. So he can invest maximum of rupees 40 lakh, 4 lakhs under National Pension Scheme for claiming tax benefit under Section 80 CCD1, but subject to a maximum ceiling of 1.5 lakh rupees. And one more point which you have to remember is the amount of deduction which an assessee can claim under Section 80C plus 80CC plus 80CC D1 put together is 1.5 lakh rupees. This is the important. Next one. There is a misconception among many that there is a no upper limit for this section. So I'm continuing with the discussion of section 80CC D1. However, the limit is the least of the following: amount contributed by an employer, 10% of basic plus DA, and the gross total income. Okay, these are the maximum limits for investments under NPS tax investment. There is a misconception among many that there is no upper limit for this section. However, there is a limit. Amount contributed to employer, 10% of basic plus DA, and 20% of gross total income. This is an additional deduction which will not form a part of section 80C. Next one is section 80CCD, subsection 1B. This is an additional tax benefit of rupees 50,000. So under section 80C, 80 triple C and 80 CCD1, you got a maximum limit of 1.5 lakh rupees as deduction all put together. But however, by the virtue of section 80 CCD1, if you invest in 80 CCD1, 1B will get an additional tax benefit of rupees 50,000. Both self-employed and employees are eligible for availing this deduction. One can claim the benefit of this from financial year 2015-16 under National Pension Scheme tax benefit. So this is about 80C, 80 double CD and 80 triple C. Let's talk about section 80D. Section 80D. There are certain limits under section 80D. Okay. However, what is the importance of section 80D? So, section 80D is nothing but if somebody has invested, has taken up a medical insurance policy to protect his hospital bills, or in case if he falls ill and he goes for a treatment in a hospital, this medical policy is beneficial. And to ensure this medical policy is in force, he has to pay medical insurance premium on the specified dates till the maturity, till the time it is in force. So, if a medical insurance premium is paid on medical policy subject to certain tax payee, the assessee can claim deductions under section 80D. For example, Mr. A has taken a life in medical policy in his name, which covers medical insurance. This policy covers medical insurance of his wife, his spouse, his daughter, his son, and dependent father and mother. And the policy is of 5 lakh rupees. And the insurance premium he has paid is 20,000 rupees. So this 20,000 rupees can be claimed as a deduction under section 80D, subject to certain limits which are prescribed from time to time by the Income Tax Act 1961 under Finance Act. Hope you have understood the importance of section 80D under medical insurance premium paid on a medical insurance policy. Next one is section 80 double D. Section 80 double D. So we have seen 80 C, 80 triple C, 80 double CD, and 80D. Now let's talk about and understand deductions under section 80 double D. Now what do you mean by section 80 double D? Section 80 double D. Section 80 double D. A resident individual or HUF is allowed to claim the deduction. So here an individual or a HUF is allowed to take a is allowed to claim the deduction under section 80D. It's not about it's other than individual or HUF. It can't be claimed by a company, for example, or in a local authority or body of individuals, so on and so forth. Only an individual and a Hindu undivided family can claim deduction under section 80D. Now let's look at the nature of deduction. What is the deduction of item under section 80D, 80DD? If incurred any expenditure for medical treatment or training and rehabilitation of a dependent relative being a person of with a disability. For example, if some physically handicapped dependent is there, physically handicapped, for example, he has a leg problem, so he's blind. Okay, so he's having a disability, physically handicapped like a blind person, a person who is not having a leg, or physically challenged person. So if such a kind of person is there in a family and who is a dependent relative of the assessee, and during the financial year, for example 2019-20, towards his towards the disability, an expenditure is incurred for medical treatment or training or rehabilitation of such dependent relative. The expenditure incurred on medical treatment of such a physically handicapped disabled person or medical treatment as well as training and rehabilitation, the assessee can claim deduction under section 80D with some ceilings and limits. Let's look at the ceilings. Can be claimed only when deposited or paid from for any approved scheme of LIC for the maintenance of such a dependent relative. So can be claimed only. So there are certain conditions that this deductions can be claimed under section 80D only when deposited or paid from for an approved scheme of LIC or any other insurance or UTA for the maintenance of such dependent relative, and the fixed deduction is 75,000. So this amount should have been deposited in approved scheme of LIC for the maintenance of such dependent relative. Number one. Number two, the maximum fixed amount of deduction is for 75,000. For example, he has spent some 80,000 rupees or deposited for his rehabilitation, but he can get only 75,000. For example, he has deposited 50,000 for 50,000 and spent for the medical treatment of the physically handicapped challenged person. So even though he was allowed to have a maximum deposit deduction of 75,000 rupees, as he has deposited and spent only 50,000 rupees for the rehabilitation and medical treatment of the physically dependent relative, he can claim only 50,000 rupees. And now there is a higher deduction which is allowed to the tune of 1,25,000 if such dependent relative is suffering from severe disability. If he is having a severe disability, then he can claim an additional amount of 50,000 rupees, 50,000 rupees over and above 75,000 to the tune of 1,25,000. For example, he is having severe disability, and the amount which was deposited is 1,50,000 rupees. So as he's having severe physical disability, and the amount deposited was 1,50,000 rupees, as the maximum swelling is 1,25,000. So under section 80DD, the assessee can claim over the expenditure incurred for medical treatment, training, and rehabilitation of such dependent relative, an amount of 1,25,000. Please remember, dependent means spouse, that means wife or husband. Number one, number two, children. Number three, brothers, sisters, parents, who is wholly and mainly dependent on the individual assessee. So hope you have understood this part of our discussion. Now let's look at section 80DDB, and let's understand in detail what is this section, what are the nature of expenditures which can be claimed under section 80DDB. So an individual of a Hindu undivided family's expenses actually paid for medical treatment of a specified disease and even subject to certain conditions can be claimed under this section. For example, if some individual of a Hindu undivided family has suffered from a particular ailment, like for example, okay, cancer, and uh, this is a specified disease, and we have done some medical treatment for this particular specified disease or ailment. Then whatever expenditure which has incurred for the medical treatment of this kind of a specified disease or ailment, then assessee can claim deduction under section 80DB to a maximum ceiling as specified under section 80DB of Income Tax Act 1961. So the maximum deduction is rupees 40,000. However, so this can also be claimed on behalf of the dependent. The tax deduction limit under this section for citizens and super senior citizens is now revised to 1 lakh. So if it is a normal age person, the maximum deduction under section 80DDB is 40,000 rupees. But however, if such a specified disease is faced by senior citizen or a super senior citizen, then the maximum amount which can be deducted under section 80DDB is rupees 1 lakh. So who can claim the deduction for medical treatment? This deduction can claim the deduction of the assessee can claim the deduction of medical treatment of self, the spouse, the children, the parents, the brothers and sisters of the individual who are dependent. So on his self, on his spouse, that is wife or husband, children, parents, brothers and sisters. For example, Mr. X is there, and Mr. A is there, and A's father is suffered from a specified disease or ailment. And during the year, for the medical treatment of A's specified disease, Mr. A has incurred some 1 lakh rupees. And assuming that he is a senior citizen and he's 85 years, so that's the maximum limit which can be allowed to be deducted under section 80DDB is 1 lakh. So he can claim a deduction of 1 lakh rupees by producing adequate amount of bills. Now, what are these specified diseases? Neurological diseases where the disability level has been certified to be 40% and above. For example, these are some of the diseases which are specified under 80DDB. So you can look and connect with some of the diseases if required. For example, malignant cancer or chronic renal failure or hemophilia. These are all Parkinson's disease, ataxia, so on and so forth, dementia. So if any medical treatment is done for this kind of specific disease and in amount is incurred, some expenses are incurred for medical treatment, then the assessee can claim deduction under section DDB, subject to certain ceiling limit of amount. And so let's talk about section 80E. So section 80E, if the loan is taken by an individual for any study in India or outside India, then they mention number one. So this loan should have been taken by an individual for any educational purpose, and this educational study is in India or outside India, then he can claim the addition, can claim the deduction. Now, the interest part of the loan on such education can be educational loan can be claimed for deduction for pursuing individual's own education for the education of of his relatives, spouse, children, or any student for whom the individual is legal guardian. Okay. For example, Mr. A is there. Mr. A is there and is pursuing some higher education called as PhD, for example. And for the purpose of pursuing PhD, he has taken a loan of some 6 lakh rupees from a bank, on which he is paying every year 15% rate of interest, which is 90,000 rupees. So this 90,000 rupees can be allowed as a deduction, can be claimed as a deduction by the SSC under section 80E. So let's talk about section 8, the given example. If the loan is taken by the individual for any study in India or outside India, he can claim deduction under 80E. The interest part of the loan on such educational loan can be claimed for deduction for pursuing individual's own education or for the education of his spouse, children, or any student whom the individual is the legal guardian. For example, in this case, Mrs. B is pursuing her PhD, and Mr. A has taken a loan for her PhD, for pursuing her wife's his wife's PhD. Then whatever loan interest on this education loan he is repaying during the financial year can be claimed as a deduction under section 80E, because this loan is taken for the higher education of the children or spouse or any student for whom this particular SSC is the legal guardian. The entire interest is deductible in the year in which the individual starts to pay the loan, to pay the interest on the loan, and subsequent 8 years until the interest is paid in full. 8 years. So this interest is deductible in the year in which the loan was taken and subsequent 7 years only. So total 8 years duration within which you should complete this loan repayment. So 8 years, whatever interest paying on this educational loan can be claimed as a deduction under section 80E. Interest should be paid out of the income of the chargeable to tax. Now let's look about, after we have seen 80E, it's time to see and understand deductions under section 80G. Under 80G. So donations to certain approved funds, trusts, charitable institutions, or donations for renovation or repairs of notified temples can be claimed as a deduction. For example, you have something called as National Calamity Fund, National Earthquake Fund, National Disaster Fund, or Prime Minister Disaster Fund, or Exigency Fund, or Contingency Fund. If an individual is contributing to donations of certain approved specified fund, then he can claim as a deduction under this section. This deduction can only be claimed when the contribution is made by check or draft or in cash. If it's made in the form of food material, clothes, medicines, then such deduction is not allowed. The donations made by the assessee to any political parties can be claimed as deduction under section 80GGC. Hope you have understood this. Next one is 80GG, deduction under section 80GG. This section only applies to those who have not availed HRA in their salary. So if any assessee is there, he is an employee, and he is not getting any HRA, that is house rent allowance, which is part of the, then this section is applicable to him. This section only applies to those who have not availed HRA in their salary or not claiming the deduction on their rent in any of the sections of income. Okay, so if it's not claiming the deduction on their rent, So if he has paid rent and he's not uh, claiming the deduction of such rent what he has paid, or if he's not getting HRA, so those kind of people or assessees can claim say, deductions under section 80GG, and we'll see what is the limit of what is the maximum amount which can be claimed as a deduction under section 80GG. So conditions, these are applicable only to an individual or a Hindu undivided family, number one. Number two, payer may be either salaried or self-employed. A self-employed person will not get HRA. Please remember that, because he is a person who is self-employed and there is no salary. However, he must not be getting HRA. Number two, taxpayer himself or spouse or minor children or Hindu undivided family of which he is a member should not own any accommodation at a place where he is doing job or business. Okay. So first condition is Mr. X is there. So this section 80G can be claimed as a deduction by Mr. X, who is an individual or a Hindu undivided family. Number one condition. Number two condition, Mr. X is a salaried employee, so he is working somewhere in a government or a non-government employee, and or he's a self-employed, he's doing business. Number three is if he's doing a business in Pune or doing a job in Pune, then in such a place, as per the conditions three is concerned, this taxpayer or his spouse or his minor children or HUF should not have a residential accommodation at this place where he is doing job or where he is conducting his business. Number three. Number four, if the taxpayer owns a house at a place other than the place noted above. If, for example, he's doing a job in Pune and he has a house in Bangalore, this fourth condition speaks about such accommodation which is available not in Pune but in Bangalore. Let's see that condition. If the taxpayer owns a house at a place other than the place noted above, then the concession in respect of self-occupied house property is not claimed. So we spoke about income from house property under the second source of income after income from the house is self-occupied, and I told you the GAV is nil, NAV is nil, municipal taxes are not allowed. So not allowed. So, and finally, section standard deduction under section 24 is not claimed at 30%, and section 24(2) loan interest on loan paid for the construction or purchase of the house property. Okay. So if a taxpayer owns a house property, owns a house property at a place other than the place not noted above, then the concession in respect of such self-occupied property is not claimed. So you should not have claimed this as a self-occupied house property. Then this, if all these conditions are satisfied, and last but not the least, taxpayer has to file a declaration in Form 10BA regarding the expenditure incurred by him towards the payment of rent. Okay, so he is taking a house on rental purpose and is paying rent on this one. You should declare Form 10BA that this is the expenditure what he has expended towards the payment of rent for such accommodation which he has taken on rental purpose. So if all these four conditions are satisfied, then he is eligible for claiming deduction under section 80GG. Now, after all the five conditions are satisfied, then let's look at what is the maximum amount which can be allowed as a deduction under section 80GG. The first year per month, this is the maximum amount which can be allowed. Number one condition. Number two is 25% of the total income of the taxpayer for the year. So the first is 60,000 for the whole year. The one is 25% of the total income of the taxpayer for the whole year. Whatever is the total income of the taxpayer for the year, 25% of it. For example, the total income of this assessee for the whole year is some 20 lakhs. 20 lakhs. So 20 lakhs into 25 percentage is 5 lakh rupees. So the second one you have 5 lakh rupees. The first one is 60,000 rupees. The second one is 50,000 rupees. Rent paid minus 10% of total income. For example, he has paid a rent of some 2 lakh 40,000. 2 lakh 40,000. 20,000 per month minus 10% of total income. I told you the total income is 20 lakhs. So 10% of total income is 2 lakhs is equal to 40,000 rupees. Is equal to 40,000 rupees. So you got three figures. One is 60,000, one is 50,000, sorry, 5 lakhs, and the third one is 40,000. So 1, 2, and 3, whichever is least is the one you can claim as a deduction under section 80G. Now the last one under section 80C to 80, that is deduction under section 80U. To claim deduction or tax benefit under section 80U, the taxpayer should be an individual and you should be a resident of India. This is the first condition. Number two, if he is suffering from 40% or more than 40% of any disability, then he can claim a tax deduction. So he himself should be suffering from disability, and the disability is ranges from 40% or more than 40% of any disability, then he can claim a deduction. So what is the amount of deduction he can claim? He can claim the deduction which is fixed, which is to the tune of rupees 75,000, sorry, and higher 1,25,000 is allowed in respect of a person whose disability is very, very severe, in the sense that the disability is more than 80% or above. So, for example, Mr. A is working in Infosys and is suffering from a disability, and the disability is between 40% and less than 80%. So he can claim a fixed deduction of 75,000 rupees. However, if his deduction is if his disability is more than 80%, for example 95%, then he can claim a deduction under section 80U to the tune of rupees 1,25,000 rupees from the total income. So these are all the deductions which can be claimed by the assessee, like individual or individual family. Thank you so much for patience listening. Hope you have understood. And I request all of you to visit my YouTube and subscribe to it, and keep viewing my videos. And if you have any comments or anything, please share with me on my WhatsApp number. You can put you can email me on the said email ID. And looking forward for my next session on Income Tax Act 1961. Thank you so much for your patience listening, and see you soon. Stay safe, stay home, and keep smiling in your life. Thank you so much. God bless you. Bye.